Hi guys, welcome to the AMA. If I could get maybe one person in the chat to give me a wave to confirm that they can hear us. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I think we're good to go. Okay, thanks for joining us all. Today we have some interesting news and other kind of developments to discuss with you guys. In a moment, I'm going to hand you over to Herman, as per usual. He's going to tell you more about the core and technical updates. Later on, I'll discuss some of the other things that are going on. Diego's here to talk to us about what's happening with our Launchpad Seedling. And we also have a special guest joining us from one of the ecosystem projects that is planned to go live, I think, pretty soon. Just going to give us a brief kind of overview of what's happening. I know that you guys really appreciate when we incorporate more marketing and discussion of the ecosystem, because of course that's going to be the driving force behind Cherry's project over the next few months and years. So I know you guys appreciate when we get more ecosystem representatives in, so that's what we're going to try and do today. Hopefully most weeks we'll have someone from one of the projects to drop in, or from the core team as well. So last week, was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week we had our two developers here. So what we're going to do is try and keep that going, because it makes things more interesting to switch it up a little bit, so you're not listening to me all the time. Okay, I think Herman's kind of on the road, half on the road, so maybe his audio quality won't be perfect. I think he's going to be brief as a result of that, but I'm sure he'll have something interesting to tell us. Herman, are you there at the moment?
Yes, I do apologize. I'm, as Owen said, on a street. So I want to wish everybody good moments, as usual. It's midnight here where I'm at. I've been traveling over the past few days. I'm currently in Japan to attend serious business on behalf of Cherry. It's pretty exciting. I won't tell you too much. I don't think it's proper yet, but if everything goes well, I think there's going to be interesting updates forthcoming. Last week's AMA was great. We spoke about the latest relay chain upgrade with our two core developers. We'll try to do more of that, but in the meanwhile, rest assured, I'm here to provide some quite superficial, but nonetheless, I think, needed updates about the core development. The relay chain upgrade that went live last week is now proceeding swimmingly. It encountered maybe a small fault over the weekend, but it simply readjusted by itself. No input on our end was required. And it, for any intents and purposes, was not perceived by any users. We do have a few testnet participants now responding to the call of last week. In a few minutes, I think after the AMA, we'll announce the introduction of the Matrix channel that was announced, or at least the intention of doing so was announced last week. And whoever is technical enough to think they can participate in a smart, intelligent discussion about the Cherry testnet and some testing and some remarks, then you should join. I think there'll be a very thoughtful and interesting discussion there. And that will be in addition as a more technical venue to discuss specifically testnet progress and core development to complement the existing Telegram channel that's more conversational, and the Discord server that does have some technical channels, but where not much of the core team is present or looks at regularly. Speaking of core, and I'll keep this brief, as I said, there has been a minor change in plans. We originally considered attempting to release the EVM parachain within 2 or 3 weeks on testnet from the possibility of deploying parachain, so from last week. Given some minutiae that I won't describe so thoroughly today, essentially, in regards to the parachain economics, its token, since there is no practical division between the EVM parachain and the relay chain, should be the chair token, so the one that all of you already hold. And for that reason, there will be some additional logical updates to perform about how the fee economics of the parachain, as separate from the relay chain, work out, how the state space there is assigned in relation to costs, where the cost is denominated not so much in the native coin of the parachain, which I do believe still is required, but rather a shared or in principle shared value between the relay chain and the parachain, of course, based on the trade token that's traded now on the exchanges and so forth. So with that said, I know it's quite cryptic. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. I think it may be best you hear the noise in the background if I answer them by text later on. And on to you guys. And yeah, as Owen mentioned, Lewis here from his ecosystem project, Prequel, will have some interesting projects or updates about his project to share. I've been following that pretty closely the past few weeks. I'm quite excited about that. So I'm looking forward to listening to him in the same way too. Thank you.
Thanks, Herman. As well, I think it might be if you could kind of hang around for a few minutes, because I think that Luis will at some point, I think between the two of you, you've got a full picture of what's going on in this project. It might be good. You might be able to answer some things that maybe Luis doesn't have too much visibility of. But nevertheless, in a few minutes, I'll give you my update. If Luis is prepared right now, then we can just go and ask him about, just a chat for a couple of minutes about the project in question is Original Factory, which is quite an interesting one. It's kind of hard to explain what it does, but we think that it's going to be a pretty cool addition to Cherry and the Cherry ecosystem. So I'm just going to check now to see if Luis is in fact ready. I think he was quite busy there earlier. So, yeah. Oh, you're here? Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
hi,
fantastic.
everyone.
Hey, Luis, how are you doing?
Hey, okay. So.
Hey, yes. So, welcome. Hope you get a nice warm welcome from the people in the chat. And I was going to ask you just a couple of things, just on a high level, as to what Original Factory does, why it's cool, that kind of stuff like that. So, I suppose, what would you say, I guess, with regards to what, basically is Original Factory?
Yeah, Original Factory is a platform where very cutting-edge artists create pretty innovative works using advanced artist technology, or maybe also basic, like painting or illustration. And they can put all this art in NFT, so this new technology. And this basically means like a venue for a large amount of very unique art presented to the consumer in a very cool way. So.
Very good, very good. Sounds interesting. And what made you choose the Cherry chain, and kind of why did you feel like the Cherry ecosystem was a good fit?
Yeah, due to the powerful data processing and storage ability of the chain. So we'll use the Cherry chain.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and how did you kind of come in contact with Cherry? Like, how would you give yourself like a bit of an intro in terms of how you were working with?
I originally came in contact with the Cherry network through a contact of mine who was working on Original Factory from day one. And since then, I have to learn more about Cherry, with the projects, the ecosystem, and then we started to collaborate with the team.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And do you know at this point, what kind of time frame is there for the launch of Original Factory, or when will the public really get to see what's going on with it?
Yeah, in the next days we will get our artists to publish the first post in their social media. So we will announce that, or maybe make a post. We will share the start of the project.
Okay, that's very cool, very cool. Yeah, fantastic. And what aspects of, yeah, because I've only seen a little bit of what goes on. What kind of art do you think, in your opinion, is most exciting for you? I mean, I think I saw some really cool kind of spherical, futuristic things. Is there anything in particular? What kinds of art are you expecting to look really cool from Original Factory? Like your personal favorite?
Yeah, like the abstract one, like I mean, expression of the people. They can work with the style of the artist, so they can work on this.
Okay, yeah, it sounds cool. It's a lot of the stuff that I saw was very, as you said yourself, kind of cutting edge and pretty interesting. So yeah, it sounds interesting. I mean, NFTs are still a very prominent part of the crypto ecosphere. So yeah, it's good that we're going to be doing and using part of that in our own Cherry ecosystem. So I'm just going to check very quickly, Luis, if there's been any questions specifically for Original Factory. I don't think there were, but I'll have a look. And maybe as well, if Herman wants to say anything about Original Factory, then this would be a good time to do so, I suppose.
I intend to publish, as I have for Seedling and Cherish, a blog detailing why we decided to invest and collaborate with Original Factory. I think a complete answer will be found there. In short, Original Factory is really interesting because it's a collective. I think that's the best definition of artists. These artists do have a few things in common. They have certain technical interests and inclinations that do enable them, I think, with an edge over the slew of others. They do align with Cherry's core principles of, let's say, trustlessness and decentralization that translate very easily to freedom of speech and freedom of expression, that are core to thoughtful and powerful art, and have decided themselves to use, to come together and use Cherry among other technologies, and we'll try and detail some of that. I've been privy to the technology that they've been able to use, that combines both how they distribute the art in relation to Cherry storage, but also how they process it, and even produce it at some point. With that, I think it fits quite easily with Cherry and in particular its ecosystem. We've invested in it in particular in relation to Cherish, as they will be, I think, a powerhouse in its promotion. They've committed to enter the Cherish platform as soon as it's ready, and I think Marv will maybe have some updates about that. But overall, I think any opportunity is excellent to carry on this objective of freedom of expression, freedom of artistic expression, in particular enabled and enhanced by technology such as ours, which is frankly exclusive. And as I've said many times, there hasn't been, even 2 years in, something like Cherry built. And therefore, what's possible with Cherry is not quite possible with equivalents such as Filecoin and Flow. And so we're very happy to that what we built is now used for such a noble purpose, such as art.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Herman. And thank you, Luis, as well, for joining us. I think I'll grab a few notes that I've seen from the guys about Original Factory and just post them in the chat after the call, so you guys can get a better, complete view of what Original Factory, the collective, is, how it relates, and the kind of bearing and how it informs on the Cherry vision, and also how it will likely take flight with Cherish when Cherish does launch in a few weeks. So that's quite interesting, and I think it was fun to have Luis here and for Herman to give his opinions on Original Factory 2. So thanks, guys. That was great. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give a very brief kind of quick fire update on some various other things from the business side. And then we're going to go to Diego. Marvin today will not be given an update, actually, despite what Herman said there, because Marvin will be, he's actually quite busy at the moment, I believe, speaking to a couple of big creators to get them onboarded to the Cherish platform. So I think he might just give us an update later by text, but we'll see. Anyway, at the moment, one of the things that we are quite busy with is the expansion or incorporation of more venture considerations into our business agenda at the moment. And what this means in plain English is that we are engaging more deeply with companies that are looking to build in the Cherry ecosystem in a more kind of structured and formalized way, more akin to how other venture studios and venture capital firms would do elsewhere. This also has a bearing with Seedling and how they interact with other companies. So the end result of this is basically that we are, now that we have our internal team and internal work processes sharpened up a bit, and we have a technical leg up on our roadmap with the recent release of the relay chain, etc. Now we're going to focus more on really growing the network and expanding and marketing through the network itself as it grows. And this involves also standardizing how we allow companies and interested projects to interact with us and explore the possibilities of working on the chain itself. Aside from that, we're also standardizing and turning up the kind of material that we put out from a marketing context. As was mentioned a few weeks ago, we have our new PR partner, which will be starting to ramp up their output for us in the next few days and weeks. But aside from that, we've kind of taken the time alongside the Cherry University initiative. We've taken the time to actually explain in a more catchy way what Cherry does, and following on from what Herman said in terms of the uniqueness of Cherry itself, we're going to try and make that more tangible and more exciting to people. You'll see Marv I think he mentioned it last week actually, but he recorded quite a cool video about the actual about the Cherish platform itself. We'll be doing one for Cherish as well. Hope to have them both out in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully that will kind of go quite far in terms of explaining to newcomers exactly how Cherry works and what we're trying to do. So that's going to be quite exciting. I think what I'm going to do now is there's another couple of updates that I might discuss with people later on in the chat, but I think that Diego wants to jump in with his update for Seedling, so we'll go ahead and we'll proceed with that now, if that's okay. Diego, are you around?
Hello.
Hi, Diego. Yeah.
Hello, guys, and welcome, Luis. It's great and exciting to have other ecosystem projects joining in and explaining a bit about their developments, especially stuff like Original Factory working on new cutting-edge technologies. Today, as always, I'll give a brief overview of what's happening on Seedling Launchpad. The first thing, and most importantly, let's start with the projects. XP Market listing date will be announced in a couple minutes. For those of you tuning in, I'll advance that XP Market contributions will open next Monday, 17th of October at 3 p.m. UTC, which I believe is the most reasonable time to make everyone happy wherever they are on the globe. In this case, the ticket we have access to is rather small ticket. And looking at my private messages and the interest I've seen in this investment, I highly recommend to try and get in early if you do want to get in. Unfortunately, pre-seed and seed have been closed and only private 1 and private 2 are available for other communities. However, luckily, Seedling managed to negotiate a pre-seed for our community. So we have a very good deal. We believe the best round. The research document will also be uploaded very soon. I recommend, as always, guys, to go through it and their pitch deck and perform the correct analysis. Following on this topic, we have updated the website and added the wallet functionality on the account section. You will be required to fill in the wallet information for those projects that launch on other networks. In this case, for our next project, the project will run on XRP Ledger or Ledger, and therefore an XRP wallet or public key is needed. Also, in the very near future, projects will be launched on the Cherry chain, and therefore a Cherry chain address will be required and asked for. I do recommend to have them added straight away, so you don't have to deal with it once the contributions are open. Furthermore, we will be preparing and updating our documentation with an easy, intuitive approach for new people to understand directly how to use our Launchpad, including walkthrough tutorials. I also wanted to add and congratulate the whole ecosystem for the achievements of the new listing. On the new listing on the SEX on Athbit. Making our coin more accessible is always interesting, especially Cherish and Seedling, which is their first exchange. We will therefore benefit from this, making order book available actually to set accurate orders to buy and sell, and for obvious marketing activities. And then finally, I wanted to remind that Seedling will be represented on the Lisbon Web Summit. We are very happy to have the chance to attend top conferences like this one or Token 2049 in Singapore. We think investing in events and networking is key. And actually having just the chance to gather the whole ecosystem together is, in my opinion, a great thing. That's all from my side.
Okay. Thank you, Diego. I'm not sure if I'm unmuted or not. Yes, I'm unmuted. Okay, that was great, yeah. So we have some pretty exciting things happening with Seedling at the moment. What I'm going to do now is, due to the kind of rush that Herman was in and the other stuff that was on, we're going to go through the actual questions now. So FinTech was asking, FineTech was asking a couple of things that I answered already, and yes, it is indeed going to launch this year. In days, this was one we didn't talk about too much, but yeah, within a few days we're going to have this up and running. So that's going to be cool. Someone mentioned something about the supply. Well, the supply we've been over since day one. Like most projects, the supply is not capped, or most proof of stake projects. This is just the nature of the token emissions, and that's not really going to change, because it doesn't make any sense from a tokenomics perspective to try and cap that. It's not a proof of work chain, basically, is the main reason. So I think we had another couple of questions. Okay. Bear with me now. Okay, hang on. I think we had more questions in here. question. Okay, someone asked about seeing burn addresses. This is, yeah, we'll try and look through that. We'll try and get that addressed pretty soon. With regards to the staking, Arit Mendy asked the staking of Spherelink. You don't have to keep refreshing your staking, but once you break the staking, then that has broken the staking basically. If there's any distribution of rewards that hasn't happened and should have happened to date, then it's not because of anything that you've done. Most likely, it's just because of the technical process of distributing those funds. Okay, so someone the Power NFT asked. The team commented that there was funding for 5 years. How would this funding be distributed, and where does it come from? Okay, well, the funding wouldn't be distributed. It's the internal treasury. So we spent most of last year fundraising. So we did get together a lot of money based on the promise, how promising the project was. I think I might have even said the 5 years figure, or maybe it was Herman. But that's assuming that the market was just absolutely awful and there was a lot of things went wrong. The company could still keep going based on its current war chest, so to speak, for years and years. So that means that we're not as exposed like some other companies. We're better endowed to manage through thick and thin compared to some other projects that have very, very, very short runway and are very thin on the ground when it comes to the savings that they have essentially. So that's basically what we put. That's what we mean by that. Where with regards to where it came from, if you click on cherry.network and go down the bottom, you'll see most of the big VCs that invested in us down the bottom. Buzz asked when the storage module will be utilized on the relay chain. I believe that Fotis mentioned this as a medium-term, short to medium-term goal. So I would say in a couple of months. I think this is kind of a pretty abstract and ephemeral kind of dev question. The devs may not have a precise idea of exactly when this will come out. So it's certainly something that is not years or months and months away. It's just maybe a couple of months away, I think. And I think that's my impression anyway. How many people from Cherry will be at Web Summit? I think about 10. There'll be about 10 of us there. Maybe more, maybe a little bit less. Can you get more info about it? Tim asked this question. Well, basically, we're going there to network, and we're going there to represent the company, but not on the most public level. Like we don't have a stand there, for example, because there's no need. At the moment, we're in the situation where it's better for us to be networking with other projects and other VCs and stuff, rather than have a public stand. But we will be probably hosting some form of meetup there. I don't know. There hasn't been any explicit demand from our community to have a meetup in Lisbon. I don't know how many people would possibly be there. So we'll have a very informal meetup in one of the evenings, probably the Wednesday or the Thursday, or maybe the Tuesday. And people can, if people are in the area or want to come along, we might do a small kind of speech thing or something interesting, but it won't be anything too heavy or formal. So that's basically what we're going to do. And we'll probably do a couple of different events. Maybe we'll do some sort of workshop one of the other days as well. They'll be quite informal, as I said, come along, and we'll probably broadcast them as well. So we're going there mainly to do one-to-one, face-to-face interactions with partners. But we're also there, of course, to represent Cherry and forge new links and hopefully bolster the community a bit as well. Okay, so I think that's all the questions. I think I've covered them all. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, so I'll check. We don't have, so Florian asked, is there a launch or IDO date for Bunker yet? No, not yet. Bunker is something that's quite contingent on the cutting edge of development on the Cherry chain itself. As the devs told us about last week, the focus is on storage at the moment, and because Bunker is a storage app, it's very dependent on how the core team develop as well. I don't think it'll take too long. I think they've made very good progress, but again, it's something that needs to be, it just needs to be made sure that that's working perfectly before it's released, and then they're not sure when that will happen yet. As always, as soon as we have any news, we can tell you as soon as possible. You're very welcome. Okay, guys, I think that's it. I think John has some cool questions for you for the quiz. I think almost everybody has their quiz rewards to date sent out. If there's anyone else, I'll go through my DMs again and follow up with that. And we'll announce the winners from the quiz later on today. Okay, thanks guys, and thanks for joining in again. And I'll hope to talk to you guys pretty soon, as always, in the chats or around and about. Cheers guys, bye-bye.